weapon types,
these
such
tutorials.
as one type of pistol, one type of shotgun, one type of assault rifle, and as a bonus, I'm going to show you how to alter animations and animate swapping weapons and firing your weapon and aiming down the sights as well. Now, just before we get started, guys, a quick word from my sponsor. As per usual, guys, this Unreal Engine 5 tutorial is brought to you by you, my generous subscribers and viewers who have been so supportive. Alrighty, guys, now all I've done is created a fresh project using the third person template, and FYI, you'll know these have added to your project. Open up this skeletal mesh, and the first thing we want to do is create a static mesh. Because we don't want to use skeletal meshes for our simulated physics pickups. We don't want to spawn a bunch of skeletal meshes around the level. We can use a simplified version of this, which is just a static mesh of this weapon. And this weapon pack does not come with static meshes. So what we can do is open up this skeletal mesh and then click Make Static Mesh at the top here. And I'm just going to find that same folder that it was in, military weapons, silver and weapons. And I'm just going to paste the name Pistols A and put another underscore here and just call this Pistols A static mesh. Hit save. Now I can close this and you'll see here that we've created this static mesh.
Actually, I'll use the bathroom real quick. I'll be back in a second.
Thank you so much for putting the fire out, Master. It feels better here already.
Oh, don't thank me. I feel bad about wrecking your castle.
Don't feel bad. We can always build ourselves a new one.
So that little man really is the great Master Roshi. Extraordinary.
That was incredible. Can you teach me how to do that?
Sure, but it'll take you 50 years to learn the Kamehameha.
50 years?
Are we there yet?
Almost. We're real close now.
Master, why don't you stay here and live with us?
Thanks, but I really do enjoy living by myself.
grandson?
What? Goku is Gohan's grandson?
Yes, but I thought you knew that already.
No, I didn't. Oh, I remember Gohan speaking of a child with a tail. So that's him, huh? Gohan must be training the boy himself. So tell me, kid, how is your grandpa doing?
Grandpa died a long time ago.
He did? Oh, I see. I'm very sorry to hear that. Hey, I've got a great idea. Why don't you come and stay with me on my island and I'll train you personally?
Ooh, it would be a great honor to have the same teacher my grandpa had.
What's this? Mr. Roshi doesn't take on students easily. And there he is, asking the monkey boy. Hey, no, wait. All we have to do is grab that stupid little tail of his and he'll be like putty in our hands. Just leave that to me and my wolf-fang fist.
This is ridiculous, Bulma. I'm calling it quits.
It's got to be here somewhere. I found it. Yeah, check it out. Now there's only one more to go. Fabulous. Sounds like Mama found it. Hey, who did this? I did. We blew up our car, you dummy.
Stick with my cars.
Oh my gosh.
The boy has done so well today. I think he deserves a little reward, don't you?
Oh my. Thank you. Thanks, Ox King. I really like it. That last ball's pretty far. Wow. I'm going to have to switch my radar over to long range. There it is. All right, you guys, come on, let's go. Fine, you guys were great. You, and that was so much fun driving along.
Have you forgotten something? Your promise.
Yeah, I remember. Promise, right. Until some stupid walk with him around his island. Well, I just don't have time for that. I need you to change shape and take my place. No arguing. You do it or I'll say the P word.
Now, you listen here, sister. Don't let him do your worst because I will not stoop that low. I do have some semblance of dignity left.
Okay, have it your way, piggy.
All right, I'll do it.
Well, yeah, what's coming up now?
Process.
That looks nothing like me, you moron.
Excuse me.
Great, that's perfect. Now you just disguise your voice and make sure that old geezer doesn't know the difference.
Funny.
Master Roshi.
All right, let's see how Bulma likes this.
Now, I know we only planned on a moonlight stroll, but as long as you were coming to the island with me, yes, what is it, my sweet? You are so incredibly sexy. I just love the way you do it. Well, you know, just one of the things I do. Even now, my heart's still beating like a drum. Boom, boom, boom.
What does that stupid pig think he's doing?
Just look. Can't you tell? All right. Let's get started.
Yeah, I think so. You're so funny. Do you think you're ever going to think about me again, Chi-Chi? Oh my god!
All right. let's get this started. So I've been having some trouble picking up the animation stuff, so I figure starting at like the beginning of a tutorial and just working my way through it. And by the time I'm done, I'll probably have it all figured out, at least well enough to do it. So let's see.
At the top here, and I'm just going to find that
Keeping a close eye on our heroes as they embark on their journey towards the seventh and final Dragon Ball. See you next time as the adventure continues.
All right. So
skeletal mesh, and
pistols A, huh? I didn't see pistols A. I see pistols B.
you'll know these have added to your project because you'll see a couple of new folders down here, namely FPS Weapon Bundle and Military Wep Silver. And as I said, I'm going to be using Military Weapon Silver for the purposes of this tutorial. So I'm going to head into Military Wep Silver and Weapons.
Hold on a second. Let's check this drive. It could be useful. Because it seems like the one that I have is missing some assets. Yeah, see, like we're missing quite a few assets here. Now, if I... Oops, no.
What's up, guys? Mizzo.
Yeah, we did this. Projects. Yeah, what the fuck? Alright, well,
supposed to be a town around here somewhere, Oolong?
I don't know. I've never been in this neck of the woods before. Oh no, we're just about on empty, guys.
Oh, great. We should have filled up at that last town.
We were going to, but some dumb bunny insisted we were almost there.
Hey, don't blame me.
Watch it. I'm trying to drive.
You're not trying hard enough. What are you doing? Keep your eye on the ball.
Yeah, it's got okay.
Hear that? What a bunch of clowns, huh? They're gonna lead us right to that last Dragon Ball.
Keep your hands on the wheel.
Keep your hands on your left. What a pretty voice. I said pretty voice. I meant to say she has a pretty face. No, I mean, I said she has a pretty. No, I didn't mean to say pretty.
All right. Go ahead and migrate everything. And maybe burn one while we do that, since we're missing stuff. We'll follow this tutorial as far as it gets, and then hopefully by that point we'll have gained enough experience with the animation tools to know how to do what I was trying to do with the rotation animation. Because, like, realistically, if you're using, like, a rifle, you're not rotating it at your hand. You're rotating it either, if it's at your hip, you have, like, a hand on the handle, and then usually the buttstock would be, like, kind of against your forearm, and you'd be rotating it with, like, the combination of that. And if you have it shouldered, then you would be rotating it mostly at the shoulder. So I want to figure out how to do that. I want to figure out how to aim the gun and have the character model follow, or or either that, or to have the character just like aim properly at the spot that I designate.
These people all seem scared of me for some reason. Every day we see beautiful strangers. I wonder if there's some dino cats in this town. Goku's right. These people here really are scared of me. Creepy. Aha! Here's the cats.
Be right back with some cash. Oh, no, that's okay. He's on to my house.
All right, come on, let's export everything, please.
You certainly have a wide selection here. Well, do you have any XB6s?
We're gonna follow these tutorials, except we're not gonna follow the projectile part of it. We have our own projectile system. Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
It's taking a long time to get that. This town is so boring. Why don't we stir things up around here? Sounds good to me.
They're not really my style, but they're comfortable. I guess they'll have to do. Anything's better than that dumb bunny outfit I was wearing. Whoa, I almost forgot about these. Here, that's a good look for you.
What? You think I'm not a member of the rabbits, young lady?
The rabbits? What's that?
Get out of here!
Let's do this.
Here comes that girl.
Hey guys, I got some really great stuff here. I hope you got some food in there. I'm starving.
Those bags are full of makeup and clothes, buddy. Hey, yeah, these apples are rotten.
All right, now, yeah, we have a sniper rifle, shotgun, pistol.
So good. He said we want our money back.
Grenade launcher, and then the same things in dark. Okay, perfect. Perfect, perfect. So now we can start.
And we're going to start off by just making a one weapon system, which we will then expand upon and turn into a two weapon system. And then I will show you how to make a weapon type system. So we're just going to use pistols A to start off with. I am going to first Control C the name, pistols A, and then I'm going to open up this skeletal mesh. And
Why? Have you seen any?
You must be knowing how if you're dumb enough to pocket at rabbits like that.
Maybe we should teach us some manners.
Yeah.
If anyone has anything to learn, it's you two Cro-Magnon morons. Cro-Men, rabbit ears. Can you believe these two idiots? Come on, you guys, we're leaving.
Sup, dude? So I'm running through. I got some progress on the aiming stuff, but I really can't figure out these animations. So I'm running through a tutorial from the start on setting up a weapon system, and I'm hoping that like by the end of this, I'll have anything that was good from the tutorial as well as figured out how to solve my animation problem. So I'm just doing that basically, chilling here watching TV and running through this tutorial. So, all right. So,
the first thing we want to do is create a static mesh.
all right. So we got that.
Because we don't want to use
I have a pretty good
skeletal
idea where this
meshes
is
for
going,
our
but
simulated physics pickups. We don't want to spawn a bunch of
he's gonna
skeletal
make a
meshes around the
blueprint. He's gonna
level.
add a
We can use
collision
a
zone.
simplified version of this, which is just a static mesh of this weapon. And this weapon pack does not come with static meshes. So what we can do is open up this skeletal mesh and then click Make Static Mesh at the top here. And I'm just going to find that same folder that it was in, military web, silver, and weapons. And I'm just going to paste the name pistols A and put another underscore here and just call this pistols A static mesh. Hit
I
save.
use S and
Now I
pistols
can
A. It
close
should be
this and you'll
fine.
see here that we've created this static mesh
Yeah.
asset right here. We can open this up. And what we need to do here is give this some collision because we cannot simulate physics on something that does not have any collision, and this does not. So what we need to do is click up here on collision and just add box simplified collision, and you'll see that this has just created a box collision around the static mesh like so. That is literally all we need to do.
All right. So box collision. That's it. Okay. So go in here. Wait.
say we get out of here before something does happen.
Well, I'm not gonna let a couple of goons wearing rabbit ears scare me away.
Hey, get up. You're okay. Don't worry.
There it is. And then
Special thing? Hey, what's this special thing?
Just a little trick our boss does to the trains. So stick around and enjoy the show. Don't worry, he's not going to turn you into a carrot.
all right, how did he do that?
Crystals a static mesh, hit save. Now I can close this and you'll see here that we've created this static mesh asset right here. We can open this up. And what we need to do here is give this some collision because we cannot simulate physics on something that does not have any collision. And this does not. So what we need to do is click up here on collision and just add box simplified collision. And you'll see that this is just
Let's see. All right.
created a box collision around the static mesh like so. That is literally, and now all we need to do in here, we can save this and close this, the parent classes for our weapon pickups and our weapon blueprints. So what I'm going to do is just inside the content folder is right click and create a new folder. And I'm just going to call this underscore project. And I like to put an underscore here because it just means that it comes up at the top of the list right here. And inside underscore project, I'm going to create a new folder and call it props. And inside of props, I'm going to create a couple of more folders. I'm going to call one weapons and one called pickups, like so. And inside of weapons, what we might do is create our base class and a couple of enumerations, but we're not going to mess with the base class just yet. We're just going to create it. So what I'm going to do is right click and go to blueprint and blueprint class, create a new blueprint class, or you can just click blueprint class up here. And what we need to do is find a skeletal mesh component. So in all classes here, if I just search skell mesh, under here, under actor component, you'll see skeletal mesh component. And so this is basically going to be a component that we add to our character. So skeletal mesh component under actor component and hit select. And let's just call this BP underscore weapon master. This is going to be
Why don't you tell him get me? But you gotta like vegetables, cause if you touch me, you're gonna be
Goku, use your power pole. That way you won't have to touch him.
Yeah, that's right.
I think we, like, I'm not sure I see a reason to not just put it here. I guess it's fine. Let's...
You're on your own, kid. It's just you and the rabbits now. Boys, go get him.
Sure as shit, then, boss. And you're coming flat. Push stiff. Boy, come on. That kid needs our help. It's up to us to get him out of this mess.
All right.
Change into a bird and snatch that carrot.
Okay, weapon master, pickup master, probably.
be the parent class of all of our weapons. And while we're here, let's create a couple of enumerations as well. So we can right click and go to Blueprint Enumeration. I'm going to call this one enum underscore fire mode. And I'm going to hit Control D and duplicate this one. And I'm going to call this one weapon type. And this is going to be for our weapon type system that we're going to do later on. I'm also going to duplicate this again, and I'm going to call this one weapon name. This is going to be for our blending of animations. So it'll be a specific name for each type of weapon. So let's open up weapon name and add an enumerator.
Okay, I see what he's doing. So he's setting up like a struct. So, fire mode, weapon name, weapon type.
That's right. You don't want anything to happen to her, do you? You again. Okay, I guess you win. Oh man, I feel like a vegetable. You were until Yamcha and Flora helped us. Huh? Yamcha, where is he? I guess he took off already. She likes you.
You know, it was a lot easier for me to be around her when she was just
Okay.
Blending of animations. So it'll be a specific name for each type of weapon. So let's open up weapon name and add an enumerator. And all we're going to have at the moment is a pistol.
Forehead of yours.
Boy, you were a lot nicer when we were a carrot, you know?
I heard that. That should do it. Now to finish the job with my powerful. Don't worry, I'm not gonna hit you. Powerful is dead. This one's on my house. So what did you do with the rabbit gang?
I took him to the moon. I told them that if they made
So let's just add pistol. Actually, let's add one more enumerator, and I'm just going to drag it to the top here, and I'm just going to call it unarmed. like so. Save and close that. Let's open up enum fire mode and add 2 enumerators, and let's just call them semi-auto and whoops and full auto. Save and close that.
This video will be covering the path cut and path generator. So head to the place actors screen.
Heroes Goku and Bulma, along with Oolong the shape-changing pig, are unaware that they're still being tailed by Yamcha and Quark as they follow their radar to the 7th and final Dragon Ball.
It won't be long now, you guys. Wow, I can't believe I'm so close to having my wish fulfilled. I wonder what he's going to look like.
Hey, I'm in it. So this big wish is going to be enough for all of us, right? I was thinking along the lines of all the gold in the world.
Oh, I forgot to tell you, didn't I?
And then we'll go to the
and weapon type. Now this is going to be for later on, but let's just open this up and add 4, and let's call the first one unarmed. Let's call the second one pistol. Let's call this one SMG, and let's call this one assault rifle.
I know it is. I can feel it. We're close, real close. Soon I will wish away. We'll be toast if I don't get to that meeting for this whole deal. Fine, if you don't fix that Dragon Ball detector by the time I count to 10, then you will be joining my hungry friends here for lunch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Speaking of lunch, you
hungry, right? Well, yes, I am hungry. Starving, really. You know, a hamburger would be nice right now. Hold it. What number was I on, Vi? Never mind. I'll start over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Super pure. What now? Oh, nothing. It's just, well, sometimes when I take.
So once again, we're going to use this later on. This is not really relevant to the whole pickups and spawning of blueprint logic, but we will add this later on and we will be able to spawn a weapon in each slot. So this will kind of be like an inventory where you can hold one pistol, one SMG, and one assault rifle. But yeah, we'll look at this a little bit later on. So let's leave this folder for now and go into our pickups folder, and let's right click here and create a new blueprint class, and it's just going to be of type actor, and this is going to be BP underscore pickup master, and we are going to make a child of this for our weapon pickups. So but before we do that, let's open up BP pickup master and change a few things in here. So this is going to be
Then 6 steps. Straight ahead and you're there.
Yeah. When pretty funny to like alt tab and it plays like a stationary ad of a different tutorial and you have to skip it to get back to the actual tutorial. Pickup master.
Once we download the visuals for Mecha 7.
All right, pickup master, pickup master. Okay, so just a regular blueprint. Oh fuck.
so click add in the components tab for our BP underscore in order of type actor,
Okay.
and this is
So
going to be BP underscore pickup master, and we are going to make a child of this for our weapon pickups. So but before we do that, let's open up BP pickup master and change a few things in here. So this is going to be the parent class of all of the pickups in the game: item pickups, weapon pickups, whatever. This is the parent class of all of the pickups in the game. And first we want to add a static mesh. So click add in the components tab and add a static mesh, and let's just call this pickup object. We can
This could take all day, boy.
Look, we come all this way. Let's just shut up and go for it.
Silly ducks. I hope your new boyfriend comes with diapers.
drag pickup object onto the default scene root and replace the root. So
In a minute, boy.
that this static mesh is the root of this actor, and we can also add a sphere collision. This is going to be called pickup radius.
Dragon balls.
It's over.
You're only home. Hurry, call my neighbors. Flying
whoops, pickup radius. And this is going to be the radius at which we can pick up overlap with this actor and interact with it. So with pickup radius selected, let's change the sphere radius to something like 100.
So, like, basically, you would set at the root level, you would be setting the static mesh, and I mean, we're gonna find out. At this point, I just
And
want
that
to
should be
follow it
good for
closely
now.
just to get to the
And
animation
the
portion
pickup
of it.
object we need to set as something so that we can give it some properties that will be inherited in the child classes. So select the pickup object, and over here, the static mesh, what we can do is just find a cube. Just
All right, I get it.
It sure is taking Goku a long time.
Hey, kid, I got an idea.
any old cube.
What? No way.
I could be your boy fighter. What do you say, huh?
I say, no, thanks,
Yeah, I got it. It's your loss.
Yeah, because this way, when you select it, it's like it's right here.
Should do. There's others that are kind of huge and will make it hard to see your pickup radius. So if you just select this one, yeah, it doesn't really matter what you put here. But like I said, we're just putting a static mesh here so we can give it some properties to inherit in the child classes. The first thing we can do with pickup object selected is search for tick and disable start with tick enabled. We don't need tick on this. And we can also search for physics, and we can check simulate physics here. So what I was saying about our pistol needing collision to be able to simulate physics, if this pickup object that you've selected here doesn't have any collision, you will not be able to check simulate physics. So if this is grayed out for you, just make sure that you choose a static mesh that has collision. You could even just set this as your pistol static mesh for now if you really wanted to. Let's also check mass here and change the mass to 60. And let's change the linear damping and the angular damping to 0.25. And we can hit compile and save and close this. That's all we really need to do in here for now. And then we can right click on this and create child blueprint class.
Okay.
Like I said, we're just putting a static mesh here so we can give it some properties to inherit in the child classes. The first thing we can do with pickup object selected is search for tick and
Yamcha, I know this might sound a little weird, but there's something I'd like you to do for me. Would you mind closing your eyes for a second, please? Yeah, just for a second, pretty please. What for? No, easy. Oh, come on.
Is he really gonna kiss me? I think I'm gonna die.
You too, Bart. No peeking, you two. Hey, not too bad. Only about 25 miles.
Okay.
disable start with tick enabled. We don't need tick on this. And we can also search for physics, and we can check simulate physics here. So what I was saying about our pistol needing collision to be able to simulate physics, if this pickup object that you've selected here doesn't have any collision, you will not be able to check simulate physics. So if this is grayed out for you, just make sure that you choose a static mesh that has collision. Let's also check mass here and change the mass.
There's only six. Did I just hear you say we're missing a Dragon Ball?
Yes, sir. There's only six.
To 60, and let's change the linear damping and the angular damping to 0.25. And we can hit compile and save and close this. That's all we really need to do in here for now. And then we can right click on this and create child blueprint class. And let's just call this BP underscore pickup, BP underscore weapon pickup. So this will be the parent class of all of our weapon pickups. So this one will be specific to all of our weapon pickups, and anything that we put in here will be inherited in all of its children, which will be the different weapon pickups, like a pistol pickup, assault rifle pickup, blah, 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 blah. So let's open up BP weapon pickup, and let's add a few variables in here. So we can come down here to the variables section of my blueprint and add a variable. And the first one that we can put here is weapon to spawn. And this is going to be a class reference to our weapon master. So if we search for weapon master in here and find our BP weapon master, we can select this one and make it a class reference. So basically, if we compile this so that we're able to see the default value over here, what this will allow us to do is pass through a reference to a specific weapon blueprint. So when we interact with this weapon pickup, we will pass through a specific
You got it, Goku. See, who's there? Let's go. It's as dark as night in there.
Twice as scary. You guys hear something?
What are you on?
Since a teen, we're in definite danger here.
More, less talking and more walking. It looks clear down this way, guys.
Don't walk so fast.
weapon blueprint to spawn on our character. And just before we move away from making changes to the weapon pickup master, let's add a blueprint interface for interfacing with this object and picking up this weapon to spawn. So in my underscore project folder, I am also going to right click and create a new folder and call it interfaces. And inside interfaces, I'm going to right click and go to blueprint, blueprint interface. And so basically this
Who designed that trap anyway?
It wasn't me, sire.
I want the name of the idiot who designed it.
It was you. What's that sound?
It's just my teeth chattering. Be careful. There could be traps everywhere.
Okay.
Quit pushing, would you?
Hey, what's that?
It's a trap, isn't it?
this is an alternative to casting. It allows us to basically share functions between different blueprints that you don't want to have dependencies on. So but I won't go into that too much more than that, but let's just create a blueprint interface and let's call it BPI underscore interact. You'll get a better idea of what this is doing as we go ahead and implement all of this.
It's a dead end.
Just now to say that no.
So we can open up BPI Interact and you'll see the first thing it prompts you to do is rename the first function here. So let's rename this to interact. And let's also give this function an input. And the input, let's just call it character picking up. And this will be an object reference to whatever kind of character you're using. So I'm using the third person template. If you're using a different character, you're going to find your character's blueprint and just make it an object reference to your character's blueprint like so. So we're going to pass this through so that it knows who's picking it up. We can save this and close this, and then let's go. Actually, we won't add that interface to our weapon pickup. We're going to add it to our pickup master. So then we're going to override it in the child classes. So open up your pickup master and go to class settings. And over here, you'll find interfaces, implemented interfaces, and we can add.
That's cool. All right, so this is done. And for us, we want to actually turn gravity off. because we have custom gravity, and then all right, pickup master. I know this is slow, but I just like it is what it is. I have to figure out how to do it, so projectile weapon. Nope. You. Event graph. Okay, it's in the event graph.
It's a trap, don't you think? Carefully, the team crept through the caverns, trying to avoid any unforeseen dangers. But when the wall came crashing down, our heroes found themselves trapped in the cove corridor. And now they wait, wondering what the evil Emperor Pilaf has in store for the next.
I don't think it's in here.
Me neither.
Come on, let's rip the seats open. We've got to find that Dragon Ball.
Well, it looks like we're stuck here. Wonderful.
Turn that off, and then
Because we're prisoners. Oh, don't worry about that. If there's a way in, there's gotta be a way out. Goku, they're going to try to kill us. Scary. Don't you take anything seriously?
what? Oh, derp. I'm a fool. Okay, so this is just gonna be.
Stick to me. Sir, we searched the air card that they came here in, but the last Dragon Ball
All right, I got it.
Our BPI inter.
You know, you can never trust a short person. Surely one of those little runts is hiding the Dragon Ball from us.
That would be the last
All right.
run down short people in my presence, Agent Mike. And stop calling
Later,
me
dude.
Do I make myself clear?
Direct here to implemented interfaces. You'll see nothing has changed here, but it has added our BPI interact over here under interfaces in my blueprint. And so now that this is here in the parent class, we can go back to our weapon pickup and you'll see it's here in interfaces. And what you can do in the event graph here is you can either right click on interact and click implement event, or you can simply double click on this interact and it will spawn this event.
I didn't even put a dent in it. The wall is too strong.
Why don't we give it another try? What's wrong, fools? Can't break on triple button double reinforced steel line walls, can you? Who are you? I am the all-powerful Emperor Pilaf. So you're the jerk that stole my Dragon Balls? Yes, this is true, but I didn't get all of them now, did I? Yamcha, I think I could get him if I died with a window.
That's a TV segment, dummy.
Event interact from BPI interact right here, like so. And basically, when we interact with this object, we are going to call a function in the character, which is spawn weapon, and we're going to pass through the weapon to spawn over to our character. So actually we just need to create that custom event in the character. Let's go to our third person blueprints and open up BP third person character. And then down here in some empty space, I'm going to right click and create a custom event. And I'm going to call this spawn weapon. It's actually spawn weapon slash pickup, because we might actually drop a pickup as well if we already have a weapon. But let's just call it spawn weapon. And then I'm going to select this and I'm going to give it a couple of inputs. The first input is going to be weapon to spawn. And this is going to be a class
Serves her right.
Now you're telling me exactly what I want to hear. That's it. A kiss? Yes. Pretty scary, don't you think? Is that the best?
reference to our weapon master, BP Weapon Master.
Pushing it. She better climb up or he may think of something really horrible to do to her.
Man, I thought you guys were tough. That was easy. A first grader could think of better torture than the treatment.
This'll take time. Time to devise the ultimate torture. The standard of 5 bullets wrapped in bullets. You're right, devising.
But Father, we could always gas them and then conduct a search.
Yes, it's a great idea. Let's give them some yellow number 3.
A class reference. So again, this is where we're going to pass through this weapon to spawn, is when we call that event in our character. So still in our character here on spawn weapon, I'm going to add one more input, and I'm going to call this the pickups location. And basically I'm going to spawn the pickup down. When we drop a weapon, it's going to replace the weapon that we're picking up sort of on the ground. And this is going to be a vector. Now, this isn't the only way to do this, and I'll show you a different way. I'll show you 2 different ways of, spawning the pickup in a certain at a certain place. Like I'll make it drop down in front of us at first, and then I can show you this pickups location one as well. So now that we've created this custom event in our character, what we can do is we can call it on event interact inside of our weapon pickup. So when we interact with this object, it will call this event, and this event will call the spawn weapon in the character. So if you drag off of character picking up right here, you should be able to call the spawn weapon custom event that we've just created. And then the weapon to spawn here is going to be the weapon to spawn variable that we created. And here for pickups location, what we can do is just
I have great news. We've got it. We've recovered the 4-star dragon Finally, the boy with the tail had it. But here they all are. Take a look.
Sorry.
Get actor location, and we can just pass through the actor's location.
Yeah, but why would they set another trap for us if we were already trapped?
Hey, Yamcha's right. I say we go for it.
All right then.
You made your wish? Give me back my grandma!
What do you think, Goku?
Gee, I don't know.
How did they escape from such a well-designed trap? You forgot to close the wall, didn't you? I don't know. I thought you were the last one out. Exactly how stupid are you guys?
Very stupid, sir.
Well, don't expect to see any allowances this week. And yes, you can forget about dessert as well.
Let's see here.
Pinball, that's the penalty.
for the pickup's location like so. And then once we've called that, we want this pickup on the ground to just disappear. So we can just drag off of here and destroy actor like so. That is basically all of the logic we need in here. This is totally set up now, the BP weapon pickup, so we can compile and save and close that. And then in
It looks like there's a tunnel behind that curtain. It could be a way out of here. Or a trap.
What should we do?
I don't know.
I want my mommy. Weird. Are we alive? You know, there's something familiar about this room. It's the place where we started. You're all safe. That's nice. I was worried you wouldn't be able to see me crowned supreme ruler of the world. Well, I've got to go and make my wish. I'll see you at my inauguration, okay? Sorry, the dragon.
I'm afraid it's our only hope right now.
I can try. How do you know about the Kamehameha wings?
Never mind that, Goku. We need every second we can get. Now hurry.
Right. I'll do it.
It's time to call the Eternal Dragon.
actor like so.
Oops. I guess I need a little more practice. Look at that hole. It's pretty small, huh?
Thanks, Goku. Move it. Look, there they are right there. It looks like they're about to call the dragon. We've got to stop them. Wait, I got it. War, you think you could turn into a bat, fly down there, and try and steal one of those Dragon Balls?
Great idea!
Why should I?
Seconds until you do!
Easy now, Bulma, just settle down. wish be granted, or will Quora long be able to save our heroes and the world? Find out next time on Dragon Ball.
All right, I think that's correct. All right. Okay. All right, now we've got third-person gravity characters.
That is basically all of the logic we need in here. This is totally set up now, the BP weapon pickup, so we can compile and save and close that. And then in our pickups folder, the BP weapon pickup, what we can do is we can right click on that and create child blueprint class of that. And this is just going to be BP underscore pistols A.
Okay, and then we can.
Dragon Ball. Reveal succeeded in uniting the 7 magic Dragon Balls, and now prepares to summon the Eternal Dragon to grant his wish to rule the world.
Dragon, I call upon you to grant my wish.
With the Emperor No, 2 of our heroes have taken flight in an attempt to thwart his diabolical plans. While the rest of the team in the confines of their prison cell. Come on, War! Your only hope now!
You can do it! What's going on, you guys? I can't.
Eternal Dragon.
pickup, just to give it the same name as the mesh, pistols A pickup, and we can open up pistols A pickup and we can just change this pickup object to the static mesh of the pistol that we created. So pistols A static mesh, and then that is basically it. We basically created our pickup class. We have the function, we have the code there for when we interact with it, and now it even looks like a pistol with simulated physics and has a pickup radius on it. So just to demonstrate, if I take this pistol pickup and put it out in the world like so, just going to rotate a little bit so we see it fall down. If I hit play now, you'll see that pistol falls to the ground, and that is literally a simulated physics pickup. That is a blueprint that is in the world. It has physics enabled on it, and you can't tell at the moment, but when I overlap with that pickup radius, I am able to interact with that object. So we can set up that interact sort of overlap right now, and what we can do is we first need to create an enhanced input for this. So because I want to be able to hold E, for example, for half a second and interact with this object. So what I'm going to do is go to my third person and input folder, and right here in input actions, I'm going to right click and go to input and create a new input action. Let's call this IA underscore interact. Open this up. And what we're going to do is create a new trigger. So we'll add a trigger, and I'm going to change the trigger to hold, and then I'm going to drop down this index and I'm going to change the hold time threshold to 0.5, and I'm going to check is one shot. So basically this will make it so I have to hold this button for half a second, and then it will only fire off one time because we've checked is one shot there. And that's all we need to do in here. We can save this and close this, and then go back out into our input folder and open up IMC default and drop down mappings here. I'm going to add another mapping. I'm going to select IA interact for that mapping, and then I'm going to drop this down and I'm going to click this little keyboard icon, and I'm going to press E on the keyboard to set this as E, like so. Now you could add another action mapping to this input mapping and make one, for example, for a controller, but I'm just going to set this to E. So I can save this and close this now. And if I go back to my characters, press E on the keyboard to set this as E, like so. Now you could add another action mapping to this input mapping and make one, for example, for a controller, but I'm just going to set this to E. So I can save this and close this now. And if I go back to my characters blueprint, just above spawn weapon here, what I'm going to do is right click and find IA interact, my enhanced action events, IA interact. And this is what's going to fire off when we hold E for half a second. And all we want to do here is get overlapping actors. And I'm going to change the class filter here to be a filter of the pickup master. So I can find BP underscore pickup master and drag off of this array here and get a copy.
I think that little pervert just saved the world.
Maybe he's not such a coward after all.
You don't.
happens when a dragon grabs a witch? The balls are spread all over the earth again. What? That means the dragon won't rip or baby to remember him by is gone.
And I'm going to leave this index as 0. So what this is going to do is get the first overlapping actor of type BP pickup master, and I'm going to use this as my target for my BPI interact message, like so. So this is just like a cast, and this is my object reference for that cast. It is the first overlapping actor of type pickup master. So when we press this, it's basically going to try and find the first overlapping pickup object.
The world once today. I feel like I've done my civic duty.
You're just gonna leave your two friends behind.
In our game, and the character picking up is going to be a reference to self. So we're going to pass through a reference of this character to our interact function that we're calling here. And if you recall, if we go back to our weapons pickup, this is passing through the character picking up, so that then we can call back to the character to call the spawn weapon function and pass through the weapon to spawn, like so. So when we interact with something, it will call this, which will call this on our character, pass through the weapon to spawn, and then we know what to spawn right here. So that's basically the logic there for interacting. And we will go on to finish off our spawn weapon logic here. But first, what I want to do is go to our weapon masterclass, and we're going to basically flesh that out a little bit and add some variables to our weapon class first. So let's go to our weapons folder and open up BP Weapon Master. And the very first thing we can do in here is just start adding a bunch of variables. So let's first add a variable and call it damage of type float.
We're not gonna do it like that.
Let's add another variable and call it range,
We use a
also
struct for
of type
this.
float. Let's do let's do weapon type. And this is going to be the enum weapon type that we created.
Yeah, like this stuff is great for like an actual struct. So we're just gonna create
hole this time. It's made of some weird metal.
No big deal. Look, there's no ceiling.
Yes, there is. It's probably made of glass.
It can't be harder than my head. Just watch this.
From the looks of it, tempered glass.
Well, I'm not giving up. First, we're gonna get out of here. Then we're gonna find all 7 Dragon Balls again.
There won't be any Dragon Balls for a year.
What do you mean? Yeah, what gives?
It's all part of the legend. Once the eternal dragon grants a wish and the Dragon Balls are scattered across the earth again, they can come in Earth for a year. In other words, you won't even be able to tell they're Dragon Balls. They'll just look like round stones.
Thinking, so basically we want to create a weapon struct that contains all this stuff that he's putting in, and then all we have to do is pass around those structs. It's going to be way easier than having all these variables to interact with. So fire mode, weapon type, weapon name. This was
Personally designed the cell you're in. I call it my easy bake office. I want you to see how hot I can make a room by absorbing all of the sun's rays. It's pleasant in there now, but just wait until the sun comes up. Get ready to boil. I'm going to roast you alive and enjoy every minute of it.
That's it! We've got to get out of here!
It's gonna dry up and I'm gonna get premature wrinkles.
At least you'll die with a tan.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'll be dead. I don't want to die. I'm too hungry. It kind of reminds me of the little goldfish I used to have. It's quickly. That's right, struggle. You idiots really think you can break through 3 solid feet of my super special steel?
He's right, it's not gonna work. We're stuck here.
Sleep well, and I'll wake you up early for toast. That's it. Sometimes it's the small accomplishments in life that have to suffice. Of course, if it wasn't for those kids, I'd be ruling the world right now.
It's kind of stopped typing there. Enum weapon type. Let's duplicate this one and call this one weapon name. This is going to be for blending of our animations. We can find our enum weapon name. And we're also going to have one called pickup class. And this is going to be our class reference to our weapon pickup, BP.
How can you watch the moon? Aren't you worried about tomorrow?
Did you guys know that a terrible monster comes out when the moon is full?
Oh, come on, Goku. You're making that up. There's no such thing. You should put that imagination to better use and figure out a way to get us out of here.
But I'm not making it up, Bulma. My grandpa was trampled to death by that monster.
What? Gohan, the supreme martial arts master? That's gotta be one big savage monster.
Yeah, it destroyed our house and crushed all our trees.
okay.
I'm not really sure,
finding your grandpa and wrecking your house?
I don't know. The last thing I remember was Grandpa warning me about the full moon and how I should never, ever look at it. Of course, that didn't have anything to do with the monster. Grandpa was always saying these really strange things, and every... Hey, what are you guys doing?
Oh, nothing.
Hey, Goku, can I ask you a little something? Sure. That night your grandfather was killed, did you happen to look at the full moon? Well, I think I did, just before I fell asleep. Why?
I'm getting a little nervous.
You're not the only one.
I had a feeling that Goku
We don't need some of this.
I think I was right.
I'm at a loss here, Yamcha. How do we find out for sure? How do you find out what for sure?
I guess we could make him look at the moon, and there wouldn't be any doubts at all. That's true.
But what if he does turn into a monster? We'd end up just like his grandpa.
Yeah, that would be a lot. Let's not chance it. It's far too dangerous.
I'm with you. Goku, be very careful not to look at the moon. It's right in front of you. I don't see what the big deal is.
Are you okay, Goku?
Of course I am.
You had a scare there, kid.
Phew, I knew it was just a coincidence.
All right, so we can cut down on some of this. We can get rid of this. We can get rid of fire mode, weapon type, weapon name, all good. Default projectile can go. Projectile count per shot and spread are good.
The weapon pickup class reference. And let's also store the socket name in here. So the socket that we're going to attach it to. So
Okay. I see. So he's got to pick up class on the weapon in like a mirror. Okay, wait a second. Why can't I? Here we go. Yeah. Okay. We can probably get rid of these. Oops.
We can store socket name in here, and that's just going to be of type name, like so.
Excuse me. I almost, looking back, I feel like this could have maybe been broken up again. Like, the projectile. Well, I don't know. Maybe not. I think it's fine the way it is. So, max lifetime, max range is alive. Alright, great. This is just here to clone off of when shooting. Damage range, we've got that baked in. Socket name.
And that is pretty much all we need to do.
I was dreaming I was a thief. And I was about to steal someone.
What? Do you mean me?
Who do you think I mean?
Alright.
What's wrong with this thing? Why won't it start? Maybe because you're not yelling loud
In here for now. So what we can do is compile and save and close this, and then we're going to right click on BP Weapon Master and create child blueprint class, and I'm just going to call this one BP underscore pistols underscore A. Just
droids like this, my insurance premiums are gonna go through the roof. Turn around, baby. You heard me. Go back. We're going to beat that big monkey even if we have to ram this blade up its nose. Oh, whatever.
Don't you want to reconsider, sir?
Oh, my intentions fucking kill you. Sorry.
Okay. All right, we're not there yet.
Just like the mesh and just like the pickup name. And we're going to open up Pistols A and we're going to change some class defaults in here. So first we can change the skeletal mesh asset to Pistols A. So we've set the skeletal mesh as Pistols A. And then if you've got class defaults selected up here, you'll see that we've got the variables right here that we created in the parent class. And let's just give damage an arbitrary number like 20 and make the range something like, let's make it 15,000 for 150 meters. Now this doesn't matter too much for what we're doing today, but let's just put some numbers in there. Let's change the weapon type to pistol. Again, this is going to be for later on when we do the weapon types, but the weapon name is important for blending of animations. We want to choose pistol, and actually weapon name, let's make this Pistols A. So let's go into our enumeration for weapon name and let's make this Pistols underscore A, just so that it is consistent with the skeletal mesh, because this is specific to this pistol. It's not just a pistol, just any pistol. It is Pistols A. So let's change that enumerator in weapon name to Pistols A, so that inside of Pistols A, the weapon name will actually be Pistols A, like so. And the pickup class is also very important. We want to name the pickup class as BP Pistols A pickup.
Don't know why
Right here, this is how we know what to drop on the ground, what pickup to spawn and drop on the ground. And let's call the socket name Pistols underscore A underscore socket. Whoops. Gonna make sure that I spell this correctly. Pistols underscore A underscore socket. And before we forget, let's go ahead and create a socket for this to attach to on our skeleton. So I'm actually going to Control C this name so that I don't spell it incorrectly anywhere else. I'm going to Control C the socket name. I'm going to go to my third person character and click on the character's skeletal mesh here, the mesh component, and I'm going to browse to that skeletal mesh right here. And then you can see the skeletons right here for the skeletal mesh, but also if you're using a different character and your skeleton is not right here in the same folder, what you can do is right click on that skeletal mesh and go to skeleton and find skeleton, and it will take you to the asset that is the skeleton. So I'm going to open up the skeleton here.
No kidding, too close. And it doesn't look like Goku's finished yet. I guess we better hide out till morning when the moon goes down. Let's go that way. Yeah.
Are you guys forgetting something?
Mama, are you okay? It's up to me to save her. Yeah, that's it, boy. It's time for my wolf fang fest. Little kid caught doing this. Why ain't one of you morons kill it when you have the chance? You wanted to let them fight, Sire. Oh, yeah. But this is still all your fault. Is that clear? Yes, Sire. My poor castle. It's not over yet. Here. And here. Now listen carefully, you two. My great-granddaddy Pilaf used to say there's no sense crying over your losses until you've gotten your revenge. So let's get our revenge and let the crying begin. Wow, what a gun.
Yeah, he must have been quite an inspiration.
All right, now let's get those troublemakers. Yeah. Let's do it. Hey, Emperor Pilaf.
Where are you going, Sire?
Just let me, you fools.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Let's work with my dear great-granddaddy Pilaf. Quite a predicament that Goku managed to get us into, huh? Yeah, but if he hadn't changed into that monster, we'd all would have been barbecued in Pilaf's style.
You better not tell him that he stomped his grandpa to death. It would just break his little heart.
Did you guys know a terrible monster comes out when the moon is full? But I'm not making it up, Bulma. My grandpa was trampled to death by that horrible monster.
Oh, it's just so hard to believe.
the deal? Is Goku some kind of alien? He looks normal enough. I have a feeling he'll be quite normal now that his tail been cut off.
I sure hope so. I've got enough friends with weird hang-ups already. Not mentioning any names, of course.
Oh boy, he's waking up.
Goodness.
Good morning, kid. So, feeling lighthearted this morning, are we?
Yeah. My clothes are gone.
You don't remember anything, do you, Goku?
Huh? How about sharing some of your clothes with Goku, Oolong?
Anything but my own is made of the finest cotton in the universe and supremely comfortable.
Oolong?
Well, alright then, he can borrow my pants. Check him out! Now that's a definite improvement. That's style.
Your legs are a lot shorter than mine are.
What's with the wisecrack, huh? Didn't mean to frighten you then, kid.
You didn't. I just can't seem to stand up.
That's not too surprising. You probably just need to spend a little time learning how to balance without your tail.
Why would I want to do that? What? Oh, no way! My tail's gone, you guys! Where could it have gone? I can't believe it! It's really gone, you guys! I'm sure it was there last night. It just disappeared. Vanished. I don't know. Guess I should wait for it to come back.
You are one strange little kid, Goku.
Where's my, power pole?
Oh, it's that way, where the castle used to be.
It's demolished. I sure hope my power pole's still out here.
What are we gonna do now? We can't look for the dragon.
Just thinking.
So I guess we should just go our separate ways, huh?
Yeah, that seems like the thing to do.
Hey, it's time to wake up, my furry little friend.
Oh, well, I guess it's going to be a whole year before I can have my wish granted for a new boyfriend.
So I've got to spend another year dealing alone cat every time a pretty girl comes around. I'll never get a girlfriend.
Alright, this is good. So, BP pistol weapon. BP... Okay, so we need to change the pickup. I want to change a little bit of what he's doing here.
Yeah, get a little tweedledum and tweedledee.
It looks like they're hearing music. Boy, that's sure weird. Oh,
Oh no! Did I hurt you, Mama? Oh, let me see.
yeah, a little, but it's okay. I feel fine now. You saved my life, remember?
I don't mean to interrupt you guys, but
I think Filch and I have decided that we'd like to spend a little more time together. So why don't we all go back to the city? Pretty cool idea, huh? That sounds good, but I think I'm gonna go to Master Roach's and train like my grandpa did. I wanna get strong. But Goku, you're the strongest kid I know. Yeah, but when I hit that castle, it didn't even shake. So if someone else can come along and tear the whole thing down, I really need to go and train.
what are you talking about, Goku? You're the one who just...
Thinking.
Well, I don't know. Do you think I look like a big city pig?
You kidding? You'll be the talk of the town, especially with that underwear on your head.
You were just jealous because I got these from the dragon. Oh, well, I guess I'll go. You guys need me.
I know. When a year goes by, let's go look for the Dragon Balls again. We don't need Dragon Balls anymore, Goku. Hey, how will I ever be able to find my grandpa's Dragon Ball if you're not there with your radar, Bulma? Well, I'll tell you what, kid. How about I just give you this radar as a going away present to remind you of all the good times that we had together? Oh, wow. Thank you.
Well, here goes. I guess this is goodbye, Goku. I want you to become just as strong as Master Roshi, okay?
Okay. Forget you, Goku. Why you? All right, Nimbus, to Master Roshi's and step on it.
You go get him, kid!
You too, Oolong. Could be such a neat adventure.
Soon, Goku's skills will be put to the test when he joins Master Roshi and begins the rigors of Turtle on the training. But what other challenges await our young hero? A new day dawns, and a new adventure begins. Next time on Dragon Ball.
Okay, there we go.
And then I'm going to find the right hand. I'm going to right click and add a socket. And I'm going to either single click on that socket or press F2 to rename it and paste in the name Pistols A socket. So you do want to make sure that this socket is named exactly as it is in here in the socket name of your blueprint. So I can then right click on Pistols A socket and add preview asset. And I'm going to find my Pistols A skeletal mesh. And I'm going to put this more or less.
I see. Okay. I'm understanding. So this is like not enough.
Into the right position in her hand, like so. I'm not going to worry about this too much just now, but I am going to change the scale because the scale is absolutely massive. So right here with the
think that's particularly massive. And the size of like a 45 ACP.
The only feature though, Goku sought to improve his skills of martial arts.
Blazing right by my house. I've never seen it from the sky before. Mr. Woosh must have some food. Yay! Let's go!
Alright, well, fine. We'll just do it. It's pretty close. Might as well put another socket in, right?
It's like a deep fry. And that was almost a well done pork roast. It's a good thing we jumped.
Yeah, plane sure isn't.
Those ships still have some kinks in them. Not sure, but that was our last capsule. This place, it's creepy.
It's not so bad.
Wasn't that a human voice?
I don't care what it was.
Seems reasonably close like that. Alright. This. No, it's still working. Alright.
Socket selected. Over here in the details panel, I can change the relative scale, and I might just make it 0.9, 0.9, 0.9, just to make it a little bit more compact and a little bit more reasonable, and put this more or less into the right position in her hand. Uno momento, por favor. It doesn't matter too much, but I do kind of just want it more or less in the right position, like so. That will do for now. Very nice. And now let's look at spawning our weapons. So we've created the socket and we've changed all of the class defaults inside of our pistols A. Let's then go to our character and we've got all this interaction set up. So this will be called when we hold E while overlapping with that pickup, but now we just need to give this some logic. So actually what we might do is create a variable for storing this weapon that we spawn. So let's create a new variable and just call it current weapon, like so. This will be an object reference to our weapon master, BP weapon.
Is this what he means? Whoa, why does he keep his food in this box? Wow, it's like winter in here.
See you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.
Good one.
Weapon master object reference. So this is a specific object in the world that we've spawned. And so what we might do is just get this current weapon variable right here and then right click on it and convert to validated get. And this is just
And I can stay for a while.
Did you by any chance greet that girl?
You mean Bulma? No, she went back home with our friends. They're probably having fun in the city by now.
a very, very quick and clean way of checking if we already have a weapon here. And so if we do already have a weapon, we want to spawn a pickup. We need to drop the weapon that we have to pick up the new one. So what we can do is drag
South. We've been going south. Please don't choke, Yum Yum. I swear he's gonna ignore me. Chill for some water. Or a slice of bottom cake.
Dumb leg.
Yeah, let's change that bandage.
off of current weapon here and get pickup class. And this is what we set right here, pickup class, BP pistols A pickup. So for whatever weapon we're carrying, it holds a reference to its corresponding pickup blueprint. And we're going to spawn that pickup blueprint right here by dragging off of this and spawning actor from class.
I tell you, Goku, studying martial arts is no Sunday.
I don't mind. I know I'll have to work hard to get stronger than you.
Really, kid? You been learning?
Class like so. Now this does need a transform, so it does need to spawn somewhere specific, and we can spawn it at the pickups location, but I'm going to show you something a little bit cooler in a moment. So on pickups location, what I'm going to do is find an add node, and I'm just going to add 10 units to the z-axis, so it's going to spawn 10 units above the pickup on the ground that you're spawning. Now that shouldn't, we can just split that, so that's converting it to a transform. But what we can do is just right click on transform and split the struct pin, and then this location can just plug straight into the location like so. And let's say try to adjust location, but always spawn. Always try.
Well, I guess that's a lesson for another time.
Okay, I'll find you someone nice.
Try to spawn it somewhere.
Did you know your tail was gone?
Yeah, I'm not sure where it went to. Guess it got bored. Bye, Mr. Rosie.
That boy is strange.
Now that should be working now, but also if we do this, we also want to destroy the weapon that we were holding. So what we might do is just drag off of current weapon here and destroy actor. Whoops. Destroy component. And we're not going to plug that into the is valid. We're going to plug that into here, and let's just take this over the top like so. Keep this nice and neat. So if we are carrying a weapon, sorry, I've plugged this into is not valid. This needs to plug into is valid. My mistake. That is very important indeed. If we do have a weapon, so if our current weapon is valid, then we need to spawn a pickup and destroy the one that's in our hands, like so. Yes, that is very important indeed. Now, if we do not have a weapon, we want to skip this section and just spawn the weapon in our hand. So what we can do is drag off of weapon to spawn here and spawn actor. Whoops. It will be add component. Add component by class.
Goodbye. There's no telling who they'll bring home this time. I better hide. Well, let's see. Is my breath okay? Hey. We're not too bad. Oh, here he comes. Don't be jumpy.
My mistake. Not spawn actor, add component by class because we're using a skeletal mesh component. I'm going to connect this over at the end here, and I'm going to grab some reroute nodes and just pass this along down here like so. And I also want this to happen if we did not have a weapon in the first place.
Mr. Rosie, is this girl your type?
Oh, you bet. I'd say you just hit the jackpot.
So, you'll trade me now?
Oh, yes. Well, let's begin that lesson, shall we? I want you to ask that girl there if she'd like to go on a walk with me.
How is that training?
You want to learn or not?
Lady,
I'm so tempted.
Place. So we can drag off of is not valid and plug this in here. Grab some reroute nodes, and again, pass this around to try and keep things neat, like so. Very nice. So if we do have a weapon, we just want to skip this part where we, sorry, if we don't have a weapon, we want to skip this part where we spawn a pickup and just add the component like so. And then the return value here is what we will set as the current weapon right here. So we can hold Alt and click and drag current weapon out, and then
Do your legs hurt 'cause you've been running all through my dreams?
I don't have legs.
So you're a mermaid, are you? I knew there was something fishy about this. I guess we can still travel to human now. Well, I'm like a turtle and you're part fish. So what do you say you and me go inside and learn more about our species?
I get it. The lesson is to keep your guard up.
Exactly. Yes. Well, I'm glad you paid attention to the first lesson, Goku. Never be open to an attack.
Got it.
Good. Now for your next lesson, you will find me another young gal who is very much like the last one except for the fish part.
What? Again?
I told you.
plug this in like so and set that as our current weapon. And then we just need to attach it to our character. So we can drag off of current weapon here, and we can attach component to component like so.
I should have known he'd spoil my plans.
No, wait. It's someone in a boat.
The parent is going to be the mesh that you want to attach it to. So I'm going to grab my character's mesh here and plug it into parent. And we stored the socket name inside of our weapon blueprint, so we can drag off of current weapon.
I'm from a village in the east. Please allow me to be your humble student and learn to fight like you.
Well, that's a long way to come. But unfortunately, I do not train every boy who shows up at my door. Sorry.
Maybe some quiet reading will change your mind. I brought it just for you. So who are you anyway? His pupil? Yeah, I'm Goku. Does it seem that you like fighting? I like marshmallows. What's that got to do with anything? Well, I'm hungry, and your bald head looks like one. What did you say? Don't you know that everyone who's serious about martial arts shaves their head? Look at Master Roshi. He shaves.
I'm naturally bald.
Here and get socket name. Get socket name. Plug that into socket name. And then we want to change all of these from keep relative to snap to target. Snap to target.
My student, but only if you go help Goku find me a girl. I trust that you know the kind I like. That's it, right that part now. Then what are we waiting for? Jump on that Nimbus cloud and find me a date.
Nimbus? Yeah, that's the name. You named a cloud. Go on, jump on up. Huh? Okay. What's that deal with this thing?
Only those who have a pure heart can ride the Nimbus cloud. And that means
Snap to target, snap to target, and leave world simulated bodies as true. Now, this is all set up and good to go now. What I'm going to do is actually just duplicate this.
So, Master Roshi has taken 2 students on this day. But what will come of these boys? Will they be friends or foes?
That's pretty cool. No. Damn it. Damn it. I'm pretty convinced that the custom gravity should just work by default with this thing. So that's what I'm trying to do with this janky method. No, fuck. How about that? I'll make it easier. Oh wait, they shouldn't. They shouldn't have gravity enabled. Yeah, so it's working. Yeah, it's already working. All right, so gravity works on those. Um,
A couple more times and actually put some space between them so they're not overlapping with each other. And now we have 4 pickups of the same weapon, but this will just be a way of testing that it's spawning the pickup. So I can hit play now, and if I walk over to this weapon and hold E, it should disappear from the ground and spawn in my hand, which it has not. So we actually have an error here. What have we done? Apologies guys, I know what's going on here. We did not actually set the weapon to spawn in Pistols A. So we need to make sure we go to our Pistols A pickup, and in the class defaults, the weapon to spawn here will be the pistols A. So I just forgot to bring us back over to the pickup blueprint once we had created BP pistols A. So now our pistols A pickup, dropping it. There's different stuff you can do here. Like once you have animations and we're holding this gun out in front of us, then you know, you could spawn it where the gun is in your hand, so it's literally like dropping from where the gun is in your hand. There's a bunch of different stuff you could do with the spawning logic here. Let's just add
You sure loves will come here.
You just easy to pass to me, tall man. I know she's a coming.
You think we'll be alright? Heard she didn't leave a blimey at a cattle press standing lunchtime.
Tubbs, you're an idiot. The day I get bested by a lone woman is the day I sell my horse and go home.
Gosh, it's so dusty, man. I just washed my hair.
It ain't her.
What a mess. I don't know where I am.
Fine, I'll pay for whatever drink the lady wants. Don't ask me why, ma'am, but something about you reminds me of a girl I once loved.
Listen, partner, we're on the lookout. We don't got no time to be flirting with harmless ladies.
Hear me? Oh, no. Sorry about that. Now what can I get you?
There's so many things I like. I'm on the fresh scraps of orange juice over ice.
Open up.
There you go, sweetheart.
Are you finished yet, Krillin? Hey, what are you doing here? Go away and mind your own business. You're right, Krillin. You are a boy. Okay. It's your turn. Just be taking this.
That's right, Cheers. Easy rail the train. I am positive it's a launch.
Where are you taking us, Goku? I doubt we'll find anyone in the middle of the desert. Hey, why does Master Roshi want to meet a girl so bad anyway? I guess that he likes going on dates just as much as you like food. You mean he's going to eat her? No, Goku, I thought I heard someone say help. Then let's keep going. Help only means something dangerous is about to happen. Find it.
Just stay where you are, Lance. Your claim spree is finally over. Moving the suit. Enough with the games, Lance. We're police officers and we are you under arrest. Well, just about every criminal these parts. And I assure you it's enough to put you away for a long time.
Just a bird or something. Hey, right there. But that girl's being attacked. Shouldn't we do something to help her out, Krillin?
Yes, well, that would be the heroic thing to do.
Except for we haven't even had our first lesson, and they've got guns and handcuffs, and I say our odds are pretty lousy.
Well, in that case, we should move in quick. What are you?
I'm here to think after all.
add some animations to round out this single weapon system, and then we'll go on to a 2-weapon system, which is basically we're just going to divide everything into primary and secondary and spawn it in one of those 2 slots. But just before we do that, let's add some animations. So what I'm going to do is head back on over to the Unreal Marketplace. And I'm going to find this asset pack called Animation Starter Pack. It's by Epic Games themselves, and hit Add to Project. And I'm going to search my project and click Show All Projects, select my project, and then select the most recent compatible build for Mannequin. So the first thing we need to do is retarget these for our UE5 Mannequin. And this is very, very easy in Unreal Engine 5.4. Into the back the prefix for this, we've got a bunch of different animations that we can use right here, and I'm just going to hit save all. And then what I might do is try and find an animation that we can switch to when we pick up our pistol. So let's find UE5 idle pistol, this one like so, and you can see that the socket has the weapon pointing a little bit off to the left.
Well, I'm still getting used to the paint. Hey, Master Rosie, we're back. There's a girl here that wants to meet you. How come he never answers his door? It is possible he's just using the bathroom, Goku. Why is he taking a bath? It's the nice way of saying toilet. You mean he's taking a poo? Oh, I'll go tell him to hurry up, okay? That Goku's not one for manners, is he?
No, Krillin, you still haven't told me the reason that I'm here.
Yes, well, I'm not really sure myself. Master Roshi is a lonely guy who likes to think he's a stud. So we just need someone to play along and feed his ego.
Oh, does that mean I can hide here while I'm running away?
Well, you mean from those guys who were attacking you and pretending to be police officers. So who were they really?
They were real policemen.
Master Roshi, get off the toilet! There's a girl downstairs.
I said, hold on. Do you have to scream it all over the house? It's plain embarrassing.
You're thinking. And what exactly would the police be after you?
I can't say for sure, but judging from all the memory like that, I thought they held up a drink or two.
I sure hope you brought me a nice one this time.
I guess so. Whenever Krillin sees her, he smiles a whole lot.
Something about a train?
Oh, right, you're a train robber. Do you expect me to believe that? You're so silly, Lund. Robbing trains and stuff is a job for big, strong guys. And you're a pretty girl.
You might want to watch what you say, Krillin. When I sneeze, I change. Terrible things can happen.
Like a runny nose?
I think I'm in love.
That's good, right?
Oh my goodness, you frightened me.
So, Master Roshi, what do you think of her? She's been making up some snippy stories about robbing trains, but other than that, she totally fits the bill.
I'm making you both my students from this day forward.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Master Roshi, and this is my pad.
Nice you, sir. Learning is much. My grandson saved me from a whole lot of trouble today.
Oh, is that really true, boys?
Yes, I can't thank them enough.
All in a day's work.
I'm glad you're safe, but to be honest, they're not my grandsons.
Oh,
They're my younger brothers. It was worth a try. Funny joke, wasn't it? Actually, I'm the turtle hermit Master Roshi, the world's greatest expert in martial arts, and these boys have come to train under me.
martial arts, huh? That explains why Goku's so strong.
Yes, I'm happy to hear my lessons made a difference.
But, Master Roshi, you haven't taught me anything yet.
So anyway, Launch, since you're my special guest and all, how would you like to take a romantic walk with me around my island paradise?
Let's clean this up a little bit right now. So I can pause this and take it back to the first frame. And then what I can do in the skeleton tree here is just find the right hand. You can also click character, bones, and all hierarchy to show all of the bones, and then you're able to select different bones. But I prefer to just select it in the skeleton tree over here. So I'm going to leave this on selected only. I'm going to find the right hand, and I'm just going.
Well, there are many benefits of martial arts besides being able to beat the tar out of people, you know. It increases your physical stamina, it's good for the noggin, and it's good on your oily pores.
I wouldn't pass up this opportunity, Launch. Master Roshi is a legend in the martial arts world. Lots of people would do anything for a lesson from him. It's like a collector's item.
Wow, then of course I will.
Yeah, I guess there's no point in denying my greatness.
Can we please start now?
Thanks for the plug, kid.
Going to align this to world space instead of object space, and I'm also going to turn grid snapping and rotation snapping off, and I'm just going to straighten up this hand a little bit, make it nice and level.
You can change the house if you want.
Okay. Yes, that's a good idea.
Now, why in the world did you have to bring that up?
I think
Hurry up and change it to me.
I'm not wearing that.
You will if you want lessons. This is the only way my plan will work.
Oh,
I'm back. This looks like underwear.
Oh no, it's turtle hermit fighting armor.
Okay, but it doesn't seem to protect much.
These outfits will come in handy. Now we'll start off with aerobics. Will you leave me alone?
okay, boys. Whose idea was this? You're dressing me like a doll? Well, please don't forget.
My other hand comes out when I sneeze, and she's like big-headed boys. Did she do anything bad to you?
Not too bad.
Oh, ow.
Was with the mysterious launch mood ahead, maybe the boys will learn to behave themselves. At least, if they want to hold onto their skin.
Alright, that's good enough for now. We can fine tune it.
How are we gonna get there? It'll be a tight squeeze on the Nimbus cloud.
This will cut it. The old teacher has finally agreed to train Goku and Krillin, and so they're moving to a larger island. After all, she's really in style.
And let's also play with the left arm a little bit. Actually, I might bend the right arm a little bit so the left hand can reach more easily. So I'm going to take the right.
Yeah, this is what I was trying to figure out earlier. So this is actually really nice.
Launch goes through an amazing transformation every time she sneezes, changing from a gentle girl to a vengeful vixen with an itching trigger finger, and she won't be pushed around.
Wanna dress me like a doll? Please don't forget. The accessories.
Needless to say, Master Roshi, Goku, and Krillin will be staying on their toes. But hey, there's plenty of reason to smile. Now that Master Roshi has a girl to keep him company, the boys will learn the ways of martial arts. Training starts today on Dragon Ball.
Where's my character? I mean, that's pretty close, actually.
Anyone up for a short martial arts lesson before dinner?
Well, of course, Master.
Yes,
I want to try something.
Hey, where's Goku?
Oh, I know. He said he had a look around the island, and then he went up on that thunder cloud.
Let me see.
I think someone beat us to the island.
About 300 someone's to be exact.
No, it was definitely better in world coordinates.
Competition. Now let's have a lesson.
You mean it?
Okay, we're back to the other arm, and now we just go back to world coordinates.
Should I be training too?
That's up to you. As long as we can have the machine gun.
Well, I guess I'll train if you guys are. Sleep. I'll make some food.
Guess she was just yawning. That was scary.
Krillin, how dare you be scared? A martial arts expert must never be afraid.
Sorry, I'll try to be more like you.
Now, let's continue with our fearless training. Krillin, do you have any fighting experience?
Yes, I studied for 8 years at the Magic Orb Temple.
All right, then. Very good. I suppose I can skip the lesson on what a punch and a kick are. Now, before I teach you boys anything new, I'll need to test your current ability. Let's see. We'll start from over here and finish at that tree. That's about 100 meters, right? Where's my stopwatch?
You want us to race?
Running is a good test of speed and strength. Though, of course, if you're an expert fighter, you shouldn't be the one who has to run away.
I'll run first, Master Roshi.
Ooh, confident, are you?
Well, you'll both see why. I could probably make the Olympics if I wanted to.
On your mark. Get set. My, you ran it in 10.4 seconds. Well, that's pretty darn good.
Yeah, it's an okay run. I usually make it around 10.1. I don't know what happened, but I guess the wind was against me. Master Roshi! Can I take a turn at it now?
Well, let's not get antsy. Now on your mark. Get set.
What an amateur.
Go!
Maybe he's a bit faster than I thought.
Let's see now. Looks like 11 seconds even. That's a good finish, but really, I'd say you still beat him hands down.
Oh, it's really not fair to compare him to me. I set the bar pretty high, you know.
Yes, well, for rookies, you both have good potential.
Master Roshi, can I try again with different shoes? Don't be a sore loser and try to blame your shoes, Goku. Look at mine. They're not exactly meant for running either, now are they? But at least yours aren't all torn up. I can see my toes. Much better. Okay, I'm ready.
Seconds flat.
Lucky enough to run like that. What do you mean? No one taught me. That'd be silly.
Well, for two young men, you're at the top of your league. But that's not good enough. See, boys, to be truly great fighters, you must learn to go beyond the limits of normal people. And that's no cakewalk. I'll let you be the timekeeper.
Whose time am I keeping?
Mine, of course. I just hope I'm still in shape.
Okay, Master Roshi, are you ready?
That's a good question. Oh, yeah, I think I'm ready.
Okay, then on your mark, get set.
It's fun to play with, even if it takes me forever.
That's moving.
What's my time?
5.6 seconds.
5 6/10, huh? Too bad.
Can you teach us to do that?
What, through a brittle tube? All right, the running. Of course. It's just a matter of surpassing normal human limitations. Ooh, gee, all that running made my tongue dry. Goku, grab me a fruitcake.
I wish I had my fucking.
What's a brewski? Don't worry, Master. I got you.
Oh, Goku, I have many things to teach you besides fighting. Now, are you sure you weren't raised in a bubble?
Oh, wow. Master Roshi really is strong. He's not just a dirty old man after all. Launch. Which one is it, protractor? Careful, you're blowing up dust.
Okay.
Lower arm and bring it up. Take the right upper arm and bring it down to about here,
Elbow out a little
and
bit
then
too.
get that hand again and level this out like so. And then I can start playing with the left arm, take the left upper arm and bring it up. And I'm not going to spend all day on this. I'm literally just going to put that right there and call it a day. So it's better than it was. And then I'm going to click in the skeleton tree here, press Control A to select all, and then click up here to add a keyframe. And now if I hit play, we've got this animation, and she will move around a little bit, but at least she's holding the gun up and she's holding it relatively straight, and her hands are kind of on it. So it looks a lot better than it was. And now let's look at blending to this animation in our animation blueprint. So what we can do in our characters blueprint is add a new variable, and let's call it current weapon. We already have current weapon, sorry. Current weapon enum, for lack of a better name. Current weapon enum, and I'm just going to find the enum weapon name. So as I said, weapon name is going to be specific to the actual weapon. If we look in our weapons folder and open up enum weapon name, this is going to be a specific reference to the exact weapon that we're using. So pistols A will have its own animations. So now that we've got that, we also need to set this when we pick up a weapon. So we can do that right here when we spawn it. After set current weapon, we can also set current weapon enum.
Yeah, like you already have a reference to the current
And
weapon, though.
we
Why
can
are
drag
you...
off of current weapon and get weapon name, if I can spell it, get weapon name,
Okay.
and plug this in here. And now we have this variable that's going to be updated when we pick up a weapon, and it's going to tell us exactly which weapon we're holding, and we
It's
just
the
need to
weapon.
pass this over to our animation blueprint so that we know what animations to play. And I'm just going to try and clean this up ever so slightly so it's more legible. Whoops. And I might just put that up there. Okay, so compile and save this, and now I'm going to go to my animation blueprint. So how I can find that is just clicking on the mesh here, and then you'll see the anim class over here under use animation blueprint. I'm using ABP Quinn C. I can browse to this, but if you open this up, it will tell you that it is a child of ABP Many. So actually, all of the changes that we want to make, we will want to make them inside of ABP Many, because this just basically does whatever the parent does. So open up ABP Many, and right here in the event graph, this is where we're going to grab our current weapon enum variable, so we know what weapon animations to blend to. But this cast right here on event blueprint initialize animation is not actually a direct cast to our third person character, and we need it to be. So I'm actually going to delete this, and I'm going to drag off of get owning actor and search for third person and cast to BP third person character. Plug in the execution pins here and plug in this object output to the input on this variable, and then select this variable and change the variable type from character to third person character object reference. So an object reference to the BP third person character, and click change variable type. And now this character reference here is a direct reference to the third person character that owns this animation blueprint. So we can start to make some more.
Yeah, so like I don't understand why you're trying to set an I don't understand why he's trying to set an enum as we've already got um character here.
It was hard, but I found it.
Good job. Very quick.
Sorry. Man, I'll never find anything in this jungle.
Yeah, so like we already have this. We have this. But, like, even in his case,
It's Goku! Stay right where you are, Goku! I'm coming your way! Please don't go anywhere! Found it! Now I can have my supper. Oh, how in the world did you find that, Goku? It smells like Master Roshi. What are you, a dog? Wait, I think that still might be a decoy. What do you mean? It has his handwriting on it and everything. Lots of stuff has his writing on it. He owns this place. Oh, really? Well, I'll check it for you. You're cheating! Give me back that stone! I'm sorry, Goku, but I stole it fair and square!
alright. And now I'm like, do I regret setting this up like this? Maybe it wasn't right to do it as a struct. I might fuck around with this for a bit off stream and see if I can rig up something. I'm gonna stop for now though because I need to sleep. Alright, later.